Good morning. Happy day to you as you're watching this today. It is on a Wednesday morning. I'm actually heading into an appointment here in just a few moments, and I wanted to pop in here and do a quick live. Hey guys, Erica Castner, and we got some really cool stuff. The topic of this thing today is called the 5 ways people can either make or break you in business. I have some notes, so I'm going to be looking down from time to time to refer back to that, but I wanted to dig right in. Now, before I do that though, a couple days ago, I did talk about, I did kind of lead up, though I was going to be doing a series on having the right preparation, having the team or the people around you that are going to support you in your initiatives and your goals, and then obviously, having the processes put into play in order for you to rock and roll. We're talking about all this stuff in the business context. However, if you put your thinking cap on and you need to shift some of these things into your personal world, believe it or not, these things will help you on both sides. And I'm a firm believer that so much of what we want to accomplish in the business sense, and I feel like I'm a little sideways here, so I'm going to adjust my thing. There you go. Perfect. So much of what we do in the business context is related to what we're doing in our personal world. Not going to get into it today, but a huge part of my story and why I really shifted gears about 4 years ago is because I had a personal, actually more like 5 years ago, I had a personal upheaval in my world, and things need to dramatically shift in order for anything else to figure itself out. So I had, like I said, a lot of personal things that trickled into my professional world, and vice versa. Like things that were coming in my professional world weren't necessarily serving me in my personal world. So today, since we talked about preparation we did talk about preparation on Monday. So go back into, when I'm done with this video today, or unless somebody's chiming in and wants to be a lamb chop and put that link into the comment section, I will link that other video. Hopefully I can figure that out. Link the other live stream that I did the other day on preparation if you haven't caught it, and then you can follow along. I digress. Let me get into what we're talking about today, which is the 5 ways people can make or break your business. So let's talk about some ways that actually can help. Actually, let's do this. I'm going to talk about the negative stuff first because I want to wrap it up on a positive note, right? But I want to shed some light on some stuff that I think for a lot of professionals, yeah, I'll say that. I'll generalize it. I mean, I hate to generalize stuff, but I do want to just kind of keep this broad today. That we are content on some level to play small, meaning that we get into a place of maybe a specific growth pattern with our business, and then we're super excited about that growth, and then we kind of peter off. We kind of a perfect case and example is this. So somebody that is brand new. When I used to work in the chamber world, and thank you so much for whoever joined me. If you guys are joining me live, go ahead and comment in the section. Let me know that you're here, so I can acknowledge you as we're talking today. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop those into the comment section. When I worked in the Chamber of Commerce space, we would have businesses, whether they were new businesses or existing businesses that weren't current members, they would join our organization. And then what would happen is they would stay with the organization for like a year or 2 or maybe 3. And then what would happen is that they would get like maybe so busy with their day-to-day operations that they stopped, because they were continuing to come to chamber events and doing things to drive awareness for their business. So they were meeting new people, they were talking to people, and then like what happened was they would all of a sudden get to a place where their business was like at the level that they wanted, and then they pulled back on all those efforts because they're like, we're so busy, we can't ever make it to the events, so why were we paying this chamber membership, not seeing like all the behind the scenes stuff that was going on, that the organization was helping them, like the passive stuff that we were doing as an organization to help their business. And they were not equating the two. So they were like falling off the grid and not doing the things that they needed to do in order to keep business flowing. And then all of a sudden, like it was so funny. I'll never forget it. I'm not going to claim the company. I'm not going to say who they are. But it was early on. I was with that organization, that chamber, for 4 years. I remember bringing on a member, like that first year I was there. They fell off the grid and then they came back because they realized in the year and a half that they were gone, like they lost all this traction. So it's not to say that all their business came from our organization. I don't want to be like, oh, we were so amazing that like everything came from that organization. But I do have to think on some level that like if you're pulling back, if you're staying small, if you're not committed to like keeping consistent relationships going, if you feel like, okay, when you join an organization and then you get to a point where you're like, okay, great, I've grown within my organization and I don't necessarily need this support. I don't need to do this marketing effort. I don't need to continue to build those relationships because my business is where it needs to be. My friends, that is the wrong thought process. We still have to, regardless of how big your company is and how successful you feel in those moments, you've got to make time to retain. And obviously I'm not talking about the relationships that don't matter. I mean, well, I don't want to say don't matter. That's not the right word. I added that. Erica added that. All relationships matter, right? But I'm talking about the ones that really don't serve you, the ones that suck your energy. Like you can certainly edit those out of your life, but it's the things that that we have a tendency to take for granted, right? And then we don't make the time for it, and then all of a sudden we fall off the grid. So staying small with your thought process on that is one way in the sense of building relationships with people. We have to maintain those relationships. And the other thing I want to say about staying small, and this is actually kind of similar but kind of different. I talked about this last night in my Facebook group, my private Facebook group. I'll link that in here as well too if you're not currently a member of that. We changed the dynamic in that group a little bit, so we're opening it up to we're actually closing it up, but we're opening up into a bigger demographic, which I'm kind of cool. I'm not going to talk about that today, but the aspect of changing your centers of influence. So going back to the same chamber scenario, right? Like we would have members all the time that would join within the organization, and then like they kept seeing the same people over and over and over again, and they wanted to meet. I don't think it was necessarily meeting new people, although that's what they were saying, like I want to meet new people. It was really just like, well, they want to meet people that were going to challenge them, or going to be like, yes, there are some people that are always going to be like, oh, I want to meet new people because they feel like more is better. And it's not necessarily better. Like you've got to understand that in some way, shape, and form that your network, it's more about the quality aspects of what you're doing, not necessarily the like, you know, a bajillion people. So understanding that if you're playing small in your centers of influence, figuring out a way to challenge yourself to get outside of that box, meet people that are going to challenge you, your thought process, because if you're challenged, that's the way you grow, my friends. It's not staying in this complacent, we're swimming in the same circles, we're doing the same things, we're pulling back on things that we know are going to drive our business, but we're not taking action and doing those things. So that's all I have to say about that. So let's talk about some good things, because I have more good things on here than I do bad things, okay? I don't want to say bad things either, but I do have some more uplifting points on my talk today that I want to share with you all today, and hopefully we can have some conversation around that. So how people can help us, how people can support us, make us, if you will, instead of breaking us down, is... Well, I talked about this last night in my live stream in my private Facebook group, this whole element of us as business leaders defining what we want. I have to be mindful of my time because my appointment's at 8:45. So I just want to make sure that I'm not overstepping my time frame on that. When we as business owners or leaders know what we want, the next step into helping us achieve, fill in the blank, is being able to be humble as all get out and ask for support. It is our let me put it this way. It's not our responsibility to wear all the weight of the things that we're doing on our shoulders. Especially if you're a solopreneur, or you're you have a very small staff and you're really maxed out, like you're totally maxed out with your time, your productivity, your energy, you're totally in this place that you feel that maybe you don't deserve the right to ask for help. And that, my friends, is a very flawed way of thinking. In order for us to create massive stuff, massive vision, big companies, you know, I think the bigger companies, you know, the Facebooks of the world, the Googles of the world, the name a big company, right? I mean, the gigantic company, they're not just one person behind the machine, right? Of course, they have leadership roles. Hello. But they have a lot of people in the busy work of things. And of course, they have tiers of leadership responsibilities. So if you're in this place where you know you want to grow your business and you've been in a business now for, let's say, 5 years, and it's still you and maybe 2 other people in your office, but you have all of these visions to one day, maybe 5 years from now, 10 years from now, be the next Google. I don't know. I mean, like that's not for me to decide, right? I'm just making that up. But I heard this the other day from Gary Vaynerchuk. I don't know if you guys follow him. If you don't, he is a thought leader in this space. He has a company called VaynerMedia. He started out many moons ago building his father's liquor business and actually turned it from like a $3 million to like a $60 million venture within like a matter of a decade. I mean, I'm probably messing those numbers up. I don't think I'm messing numbers up with the 3 million to 60 million. I just don't remember what the time span was, but it's relatively quick in the greater scheme of things. And he did it when the YouTubes of the world really kind of launched back in the late 90s, early 2000s. So my point of this is, he said when he left the whole wine library thing and wanted to start his own thing, wanted to start his media company, one of the things that he said in an interview that I heard recently, and it was an older interview, but he said, when we started our company, like in that first year, my number one criteria for building that company or putting people on my team was, and I'm going to paraphrase this for a minute, but it was basically like those heart-centered people, right? It was those people that were like in a good mood and they were passionate and they were, they were generally more creative. They had a lot of good energy behind them, right? Well, in year 7 of his company, and of course the company's been around a significant amount of time, but what he was comparing was year 1 to year 7. And I believe the time of the interview, he was in that 7th year. His company, the people that he had on his team were different. They needed to be different in year 7 than they needed to be in year 1. And there were a lot of changes that were transpiring in that period, because his company got to a level where like just being nice, like, yes, that was still an important quality of his culture, but like nice isn't getting stuff done, right? That quality alone isn't getting stuff done. Yes, you can be nice and you can take action. People can be jerk faces and take action. So if you don't want jerk faces in your company, I'm not saying that you go be a jerk face to take action, but he needed different skill sets on his team. So for you, as you're growing, as you're exploring what's possible for you, what worked for you in the beginning isn't necessarily going to work for you in the longevity of things. And like perfect case and example, when I started my company in 2015, it looked a lot different than it does today. I mean, I'm still in the professional development space, but in terms of the products and programs and services that I was offering back then are a ways away from what I'm bringing to the table today. I'm evolving. Obviously, my brand has to evolve, and the people that I'm bringing to my team has to evolve as well. I'm asking you to do the same thing. Define what it is you want, and then ask for that support. I don't know where I'm at with this. I'm kind of all over the place. Get an accountability partner. It is so imperative for you. Like, human nature sets in and really puts us in this place of do I really need to do that today? Do I really have to go do fill in the blank towards accomplishing my goals? Accountability partners, and I want you to even think about this on a deeper level, because accountability partners to me sounds a little light. I generally don't like to use the word, but I use it because it's familiar to people and they understand the example. But an accountability partner, i.e. a mentor, a coach, a trusted advisor. Like, I'm not talking about your mama down, like your best friend's mama that like has no clue what you're doing, right? Or even your parents for that reason. I mean, I've seen some very successful people, in their own right, and they had to pull themselves away from their immediate family because like that as much as they loved them, it was like toxic energy, and they didn't understand. They didn't comprehend the grind. They were more of a nuisance than they were like assistants. So accountability partners or mentors or coaches or trusted advisors, like these are all people that we bring into our space so we can grow. Okay. Now, accountability partners, depending on how you define it, sometimes there's really no, like, there's generally not like a significant energy change, meaning like you're being accountable to maybe each other. Hey, Leslie, how are you? You're being accountable to each other, which is nice, which is great. But either one of those people could kind of fall off the grid, right? And there's no like skin in the game. It's like if the wind blows and the other person doesn't commit or follow through like on a consistent level, like they could leave the person that truly wants that accountability and who's committed to that person, leaving them high and dry. So that's where I feel like a lot of accountability partnerships could be freaking amazing, but generally there's no, other than like the time invested, there's no other skin in the game. And that in our time commodity is the most precious asset. Let me slow that down a little bit. Our most precious asset, but people don't value it. And if you kind of don't value it for yourself, if you're one of those people that has a tendency to have a ton of stuff on your plate, you don't take the time to work on your business, and you're just so much in it, you're go. You let other people's agenda kind of get in the way. You might not be a good candidate for an accountability partnership because, and I'm not like picking on anybody in this group that's watching this, but if you're that type of person, you might have a tendency to kind of like, okay, stuff's coming up and I gotta go, I gotta do this, I gotta put out this fire. And like, having this call with my accountability partner today isn't really on my list of priority list when it absolutely should be on your priority list. Okay. So that's why I think like, and even mentorship opportunities in the same sense. I mean, there's not a lot of skin in the game. Making investments in yourself with a coach, with a mastermind. I've talked about masterminds in the past. Masterminds are a really cool way to get a kind of a collective pool of people's thoughts and energy behind your ideas and give you an opportunity to learn from other people and what they're doing. A coach is obviously going to support you. A good coach is going to allow you to explore. That coach isn't going to tell you what to do. Okay. Like, my clients that work with me, I don't tell them what to do. I guide them on how to come to their own conclusions about stuff, and they make their own decisions. So they're not codependent on my, my phone call every week. Or if the group program or whatever, they're in a place where they can actually move forward, and they get the process. That's what a good coach does. It delivers a good coach delivers a process, to you, to help you sort some of that stuff out, so you can be empowered to make those decisions that are right for you. Let's wrap this up because I do have to get going here in a minute. The last thing that I want to maybe touch on today is for this conversation today. I have plenty of things that I want to talk about in the process aspect. So we talked about preparation in the last video. Today we're talking about people, how to get the right people, understanding how people can either make or break us. And then the next time we hop on the live stream, we're going to be talking about the processes that you need to put in play in order to make some of this stuff rock and roll. The way that we realize our big visions faster, we talked about this earlier, is having the right team. Sometimes for you all who are, especially if you are, how do I say this? So like if you're like a big fish in a small pond, like there really isn't a whole lot of resources or people that really connect with you, right? I mean, because if you're this gigantic fish in a small pond and like maybe there's only room for 5 big fishes in the pond. And if you've already gathered the collective wisdom of those 5 people, and those 5 people, you're one of the 5. So those 4 other people you're gathering collective wisdom from, if they're not doing anything to expand their reach, if they're not doing anything to enhance their mind, engage in other conversations, think about other things from a different point of view, you're going to stay the same and stay complacent. So if we have big vision, if we understand that we need supportive people on our team, we know that when we grow, we're going to be growing our people and our centers of influence, not only personally, but we're also going to probably grow the amount of people that we're bringing onto that mix, right? But we've also got to think about like who's outside of our circle of influence that can support us. What are the relationships that scare the bejesus out of you that you're like, you know what, I don't know if I could ever talk to so-and-so, because like, why would they want to talk to me? Well, sometimes we just have to eat a little bit of humble pie and say, well, what can I do? If I want to get in front of that person, what can I do to help them? What can I do to support them in their vision and their goals? That, my friends, that's probably the tip that we probably should have led with, because that was the $100 million tip right there. If you can figure out, and I'm going to share a book with you really quick. There's a gentleman by the name of Steve Sims. He wrote a book called Blue Fishing. I'm going to run into him this weekend at the City Gala event. As we're recording this live, that's where I'm going this weekend. If you're catching the replay, well, depending on where you caught the replay, I either am going to be going to City Summit or coming back from it. But Steve Sims wrote this book called Blue Fishing. The whole book is about standing out. So if anybody is in that position of wanting to stand out, be top of mind for people who might need your product or service, the whole book is about how to stand out in a very thoughtful and compelling way, like smacking people right in between their eyes and understanding, like how getting them to understand that, like, that you're providing the wow factor. I don't want to spoil the punchline of the book. There are so many great nuggets. Steve Sims, Blue Fishing, expanding your reach, getting in front of those centers of influence. If there's a particular sphere of influence that you want to get in front of, or a particular person, or a particular whatever, find out what that sphere of influence is all about. Find out who that person is. Do something to knock their freaking socks off. Figure out a way to penetrate through the noise of all the stuff that they're getting bombarded with, and do what you can to be of service. Not give away the farm. Like, I don't expect anybody to, if somebody's passionate about a nonprofit organization, that you would go out and write, $1,000 check to that organization. Like, I'm not suggesting that kind of thing, but do something that's impressionable. There's lots of nuggets in that book, so go check that out. So expand your reach, get in front of other people to help execute your mission, and get on with what you got to do in order to feel like you're leaving that legacy behind in a way that that's really going to move you. Okay, so that's it. That's all I have. I've got to head into my appointment. You guys rock. Thank you so much. Let me know what was the most impactful takeaway from this video today. I'd love to continue to hear your thoughts, and obviously have the conversation with you outside of this space to get you the resources that you need to up level your business. So until next time, I'm Erica Castner. Take care.